Welcome to a Healthy Living video blog at workoutmaster.com. Today we're going to talk about overtraining. Let's tear this one apart, Ruben.
Something that happens very common, or has happened to all of us in one point or another of our training career.
Not all of us. People that train.
You've never overtrained?
Not seriously, no.
He has overtrained.
Yes, I do.
So this is what we want to actually kind of make clear to the people. Overtraining happens very often. And some of the most common symptoms that we have when we overtrain is that we fail to make or create new challenges that we can overcome. Usually this comes to a screeching halt. And the worst thing that happens about overtraining, besides all the effort that you put into it, which is a shame that we actually waste so much energy into something that is not going to come to a realization, is that you actually take the chance, or a huge chance, of actually getting injured. When you get injured, you're actually setting yourself back untold number of days, sometimes up to a month or two, depends what part of your body you're injured. So with that said, it's very important that periodization is taken into account as the #1 solution to avoid overtraining. Now let them know a little bit more about what periodization is about and how can
Well, the periodization is basically a science of overcoming overtraining or plateaus. Specifically, what you need to do is you probably pick up a couple of books and read about it. Besides that, this is not particularly an episode to teach you how to do a proper periodization, although we probably can organize in the future.
If it goes to a specific task, then you can go through several stages of the training.
But for your specific sport, you would want to probably pick up the book. Maybe Tudor Bompa is good on periodization. He's probably one of the best, and read a little bit about periodization. What we want to mention that it's a good amount of population that actually overtrain. There's a good amount of population that don't train at all, and there's a good amount of population that pretty much beat themselves to dust, and unfortunately it does not create a lot of health for them. It might create some sort of fitness, but not for too long, because then they get injured and then the problems follow. So it's very important to realize if you're not getting your results, if you're actually going backwards, then chances are you're overtraining, and the #1 solution is periodization. Now, the second thing that we want to mention, that it's not always the amount of exercise that you do can create a problem of overtraining. It's also a problem when you have a lot on your plate already, and then you're adding another big chunk of exercise into your lifestyle.
A stressor.
For example, we have executives that work 10, 12, 15 hours every day. On top of it, they decide to combat the stress that they're under by training for a marathon, triathlon, or God forbid, an Ironman. And that's where you're pretty much setting yourself up for something of not necessarily a good situation, because then you have a very stressful life, and then you're doing what we call a whip principle. If you guys are interested, just go back to one of the episodes. We call it the whip principle. You understand exactly what we say. And then you're including this chunk of exercise, and then eventually you basically pretty much doomed to overtrain.
Yes, and the problem with that is that, oftentimes these people, they have a certain personality, and there are certain sports that yield themselves to that type of attendance.
Well, let's call A-type personality.
A-type personality, absolutely. You don't have to label them in any way. Some people might not like to be called A-type. I love it when they call me A-type, because I'm totally the opposite of that. But the interesting thing is that, the one thing that they're doing, which actually goes in correlation to a recent episode that we produced that has to do with health versus fitness. How much are you improving the quality of your life by probably overtraining the hell out of yourself, and how much of a detriment do you create to health? Because as we mentioned before, overtraining happens all the time because we don't take into account how we feel, or what we do, or we assess what's going on with us internally. Listen, when I work with a client, the first thing I ask him is, how you doing today? What's going on? What's your energy? How did you have eaten the past couple of days, and how have you rested the past couple of days? If they told you that they haven't done much,
you're not just trying to strike a conversation?
Well, besides that, I'm a great conversationalist. So what you do is you pretty much get an idea of what they have been able to do, and if the training log says that this day they have to do such and such and such, and they haven't rested, and they haven't slept, and they haven't eaten well and stuff like that, doing what is supposed to be done on that day will actually certainly overtrain them. So before that happens, you have to make an adjustment. It's very true that what you say, that periodization is a science, but it's also an art. and an art in the sense that you have to learn how to dance those two components of what your body can handle and what your body should be handling, and creating a nice balance between the two of them. And that's what it comes down to.
Because the traditional periodization is designed for athletes, and the athletes are pretty much, that's pretty much what they do. When you start working with people that actually have a different job besides their particular sport,
you have a woman,
you're creating all kinds of different other
woman
things.
with a couple of kids, with their own company, with their own businesses, you know, and crappy relationships and stuff like that. And what do you have?
Try to periodize that.
Try to periodize that one. Yeah, good luck.
Well,
that's the point.
Anyway, guys, if you feel that you're tired, you're not accomplishing results, and you're moving backwards instead of forward, try to consider possibility of overtraining. Now, for me, the solution to overtraining is very simple. You take the time off from the activities that you do, and you rest. You sleep, you eat a good food. When you start feeling like you're getting more energy, then you get back to what you've been doing. Now, this time, hopefully, while you rested, you read the books about periodization, and then you're not only training harder, but you are training smarter too. You have anything else to say?
That's it.
That's it, guys, for today. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, your future looks better already. Until the next time.